All right, ladies and gentlemen, what you were witnessing there was, I guess, the greeting line where Michelle Obama was blurred and Barack Obama was paying his respects to the deceased king of Saudi Arabia. Joining us now is David Harsanyi, national syndicated columnist and senior editor at the Federalist. David, of course, if you listen to the Obama administration, he and the king were very tight. And if you listen to Richard Engel of NBC News, he went on the air on the nightly news and said that the king couldn't stand Barack Obama. You wrote a great piece at thefederalist.com. Obama keeps bowing in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, he cut short a visit with a democracy that's growing and heading into the right direction into the 21st century to hang out and honor a king who had 30 wives and 35 children, and is one of the, led a nation that was one of the largest funders of terrorism in the world, and beheads women in the streets. So I think that's a problem for us.
Yeah, and what we saw in that video, the whole video was spliced together with his most recent meeting, but he did that was the famous bow several years ago when he did bow in Saudi Arabia. What on earth is his goal? We get reports today of secret tapes that showed that the Pentagon was alarmed at what Hillary Clinton was doing in 2011 in pushing this war against Gaddafi, so much so that some representatives of the Pentagon, without Hillary's knowledge, without the president's knowledge, took a Democratic congressman. They went to meet with Gaddafi's son. They were all afraid that Hillary was propping up this notion that Gaddafi was going to commit genocide to keep his power. What is this administration's goal in the Middle East? What the heck has it been? Because now we hear, not only do we know that, or we hear reports that they're trying to undermine Netanyahu with people in Israel, sending people to Israel, but meeting with the Muslim Brotherhood here in Washington to try to overthrow the folks in Egypt. I mean, do they ever stop?
You can juxtapose how we treat and honor a king of a theocracy with no elections and no political parties to how we treat Benjamin Netanyahu, who is an elected official in a democratic nation. Even if you don't like his politics, I mean, there should be something said for that sort of ally. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, we prop up regimes that are illiberal, and then we help people who aren't. It doesn't make any sense why the Muslim Brotherhood should be helped and not the Egyptian army, which is keeping peace in that country and is actually more liberal than the Muslim Brotherhood that was elected. So I think it doesn't make much sense, but it also has a lot to do with trying to placate people in that area, or we think we're, not to insult their religion, even though it has nothing really to do with peaceful Muslims, and to act in a way that I think undermines our credibility and our morality, actually. So it's corrosive, I think, for the Middle East and certainly for our national standing.
Absolutely. And David, when you talk about Iran, our national security, I think this administration is scared to death that Netanyahu's going to come here and he's going to show satellite photos of the new missile launching sites and everything else that they have, and he's going to spell it out, and he's going to convince the American public and certainly the Congress, who already know it, that this isn't only about Israel's security. They already have, the rockets and whatever without nuclear warheads so far to destroy Israel if they attempted it. But their bigger goal is, the intercontinental ballistic missile with a nuclear warhead to hit us. And he's going to spell it out and lay it out, and Obama's going to still, walk up to Iran and put his arm around them.
I think he wants a deal for political reasons. I doubt very much that he thinks Iran is the threat that Israel believes it is. And it's dangerous because he says that's what he believes. But what is he doing? He's constantly delaying, constantly moving red lines, constantly so upset with Benjamin Netanyahu for making the case that Iran, which is fact driven quite often, frankly, that Iran is so dangerous. And I'm not sure if Netanyahu did the right thing or Congress did the right thing as far as protocol goes with him speaking here. But I do know that this overreaction to him speaking here says a lot about how the president views an important ally. So I'm not sure what he's doing with Iran. We're going to find out, but at some point it's going to be too late. And can you imagine the Middle East when there's a country who funds terrorism, who has nuclear weapons, and can threaten anyone? It's going to be a disaster for the world.
And David, their state-run government put Netanyahu's children out, pictures out with crosshairs on them, urging people to kill him. They just, of course, through Hezbollah, killed Israeli soldiers. None of this phases Barack Obama because they're the great, whatever he calls them of Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran, and all he wants to do is be their best friend. David, thank you. Always great to talk to you, sir.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, Joe Connor's next, folks. Anti-terrorism advocate. 40 years ago, his father was killed, blown up by the FALN. We'll talk with him next, right here on Newsmax Television on the Steve Malzberg Show.